top 8 LinkedIn audio event mistakes to avoid, especially if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur. The first mistake is not hosting audio events. I want to break down just the potential power of LinkedIn audio events. The beauty of a LinkedIn audio event is that LinkedIn gives you the ability to invite 1,000 of your connections every single week to your audio event. This is extremely powerful, which means that if you have 4,000 connections, you can invite 4,000 people to your LinkedIn audio event every single month. Every single month, okay? I just want to frame this. You have 4,000 connections at least, you can invite 4,000 people a month to a live event. But a lot of people, number one, they don't post consistently enough or grow their personal brand enough where they have 4,000 connections. So then you can't tap into this at the potential that you could if you did, or they are not well known. I have a lot of clients that I start working with that maybe they have 5,000 connections, 10,000 connections, even up to hundreds of thousands of followers and 30,000 plus connections, but they don't post consistently on LinkedIn and they don't post videos. So they're not really trusted or well known by their network. In that case, they could send out invites. Nobody knows who they are, and then there's a low acceptance rate. If you don't post consistently, even though you have the connections, it could mean a 10% sign up rate out of the 1,000 and a 10% show up rate versus something like a 25% sign up rate and 25% show up rate, which means if you host just one audio event per month and 4,000 people are invited to that audio event, 400 people are registered, that's 10%, and only 40 people show up live. However, you could get to 25% if you post consistently, especially with video. So that's 4,000 people invited, at least 25% accept. So that's 1,000 people registered and accept the invite, and at least 25% show up. That's 250 people live. Imagine the potential of 250 people live who are interested in learning from you and who could potentially become clients for your business. Shankar, do you have anything to add about people not hosting audio events?
You all know, as business owners, you've tried so many things. And I know that most of you are not happy with the return on investment. I also know that most of you have never tried or had the courage or known how to do an audio event. And I can guarantee you, because I've seen it with people that we assist, that if you overcome that and you do it, you will see, for all of your business owners and CEOs, I know you always think ROI. You will see the ROI of the energy you put into that live event is so high that you will ask yourself, why have I waited so long? Even with the lower numbers that Shanae showed. If you think about how much effort, how much money, how much coordination, how much time you sometimes put into getting 250 people to go to a conference, pass by your booth, whatever you do, if you think about how much money and time and effort you put into that, and then you don't understand that getting 250 people in a virtual space is of the same, if not more value, that is very powerful, and it deserves the same, if not more, of your time to achieve that. You rent a room that fits that many people at a decent place. I can guarantee you in North America, you're looking at $5,000-$6,000 organizing the whole thing.
So the second one is no clear purpose for the audio event, especially tied to where you currently are in your business with the goals that you currently have. So the people that are not successful that I see with audio events, think of this as a one-off thing versus a continuing strategy in their business to reach the people that they are called to serve. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, what is your goal based on where you are in your business for these audio events? I see a lot of people mismatching the model that they should have for their audio event based on their business goal. Is your goal just to gain followers? There are CEOs that come to me and they want just visibility, to do partnerships. In that case, they'd host panel discussions, interviews, so on and so forth. So we'll go into the styles. A coach that wants clients in the next 4 to 8 weeks is a very different style than someone who's not really looking to get clients today and who knows that just by growing their visibility on LinkedIn, a lot of things are going to happen. They're going to get employees that they had lost. They're going to attract higher quality talent. They're going to be able to attract some partnerships and maybe some future mergers and acquisitions. So it's very different. Understanding what your goal is really helps you to understand what style audio event you should be hosting. If your goal is to monetize, if you're a coach or consultant and you want to get clients, then you should be standing on your own and hosting an audio event where you're the only one on stage. You have to do this for a certain amount of time so that people have the ability to really see if you're an expert in what it is that you do and the time to be able to connect in their brain that you are associated with your expertise. Trust takes a little bit of time, and sometimes collaboration can become a crutch because you don't want to do it alone. If you're more of the CEO that's already well established, you can hold your breath longer for clients, and maybe employee retention or attracting greater talent is really just your metric for success here. Then you could start to host kind of interviews and collaborations with other people in your company or in your industry. You also need to think about who needs to get into the room to fulfill your goal and what is a strategy to get them into the room. Obviously, the title will determine who comes into the room. So mistake number 3, no clear metric to track whether the audio event was a success or not. How will you know whether the audio event is a success? You could have 500 people in a room, but if the metric of success for that audio event is how many consultations you get and you don't get any, then was it a success? In my opinion, no, because it didn't meet the metric. So we have to be very clear, and we have to choose one metric, not 25. I have people that come to me and they're like, I have an ebook, I have a consultation, I have a webinar, I have this. Choose one, because it's very hard for people to be pulled into 25 call to actions. Choose one and make it clear and know what the metric of success is going to be before you even start the content of the audio event, because you know the purpose. Once you know the purpose, you should follow what metric is going to determine whether it is a success. And the other thing is, if it's not a success, what attitude do you have after? I can always tell a new entrepreneur compared to a more seasoned entrepreneur by how they react to one failure. And that is evident to me every single time. A new entrepreneur will fail something one time, and it's like watching a child have a temper tantrum and lose their emotional regulation completely and doubt all of the skills that they've built up until now. And then you have to gather and collectively calm them and then say, schedule the next one because we've learned from this, right? So what attitude do you have if one of them is not a success? More seasoned entrepreneur, it's not a success. Let's go back to the thing that maybe worked. Let's try something different. What did we learn? How could we make the next one more successful? What did we do wrong? What could we do better for the audience, right? So don't let one non-success stop you from your breakthrough. And let's pick one metric. The metric could be how many consultations were booked directly linked to this audio event. Maybe your metric for success, if you just want to grow a massive audience, is how many new followers you have and the quality of the new followers. Maybe it's the number of emails that you collected that day because you're pushing them to a webinar, a newsletter, an ebook download, etc. But it can't be all of them. It has to be one. The success of a room also comes down to gaps in the following conversions. So how many people registered based on the invites that you sent? How many people are there in the beginning of the room? So how many people show up from the people who have registered? How many people are there at the end? Because this will determine whether they find your content interesting or whether the delivery and the content quality it's a little rusty and we may need to work on it. How many people share the room? This is huge. Is your content valuable enough for people to actually share it? And that's kind of an indirect endorsement. How many people take action connected to the one metric that you are tracking? And ultimately, how you made people feel? Did you make people feel like they completely wasted their time being in your room? Or did you make people feel like they can't wait until you have the next one? That long term will determine whether they continue to join your rooms or whether they never like or give time to your content or to your events again.
Success in business, and those of you who already see success, you know that it's not a straight line. It's an up and down, and it can be tiring at sometimes. But what separates those from have success from those who do not very often is just resilience. And it's the same here. And it's a very important lesson that cannot be stressed often enough.
It's resilience, it's stamina, and it's who you choose to have in your corner. Because if you know that you alone may not have the resilience after a failure to stand back up, know yourself enough to know, I need to surround myself with people more resilient than me. I need to surround myself with people who, if I fail, they're going to tell me to get back up, to try again, to wipe the tears. They'll cry with me a little bit, but then they'll encourage me to do it again. Like Shankar is saying, entrepreneurship is not linear. I've had a client that right after her worst audio event ever, it was a complete flop. Her next one was a massive breakthrough success. And since then, she does not open an audio event without 80 people at least listening in the audience. This is not someone with 1 million followers like myself. This is someone with 5,000 connections. One click of a button, 80 people in the audience. Why? Because we worked on delivery, we worked on content, people know what to expect. They know that when they enter her room, it's not going to be a waste of their time. Had she not had me, would she have continued? I don't know. Maybe she would have, maybe she wouldn't have. But you have to know yourself enough to know who you need to surround yourself with. So that's a huge thing. Number 4 is there's no systematized tracking of success. So we have to look at the data and we have to learn from where there's weak points, okay? And I kind of liken this process to a hose, like a watering hose. It has a lot of flow or whatever. And then if it gets one kink, then it's completely doomed, right? It's like weak, there's no water coming out. And to fix that, you have to find where the kink is. So some people think that they may have one problem when the kink is somewhere else. So I'm going to give you a process where you could identify and audit your own hosting of audio events and be able to diagnose where the kink is, so to speak, okay? Look at your data. It has the answer to what you should be doing. So we're going to talk about the percentage of people who accept the invite first, right? Person A sends 1,000 invites to their network 2 weeks in advance because, you should do things not the day before. Let's just say only 100 people register. Person B sends 1,000 invites to their network 2 weeks in advance and gets 177 registrations within 24 hours. This happened to a client of mine this week. She sends her 1,000 invites. It's her first audio event. She gets 177 registrations within 24 hours. She messages me panicking, saying, Shanae, there's already like 200 people. We haven't prepared the content. It's going to be fine. Okay. We're going to practice and we're going to do drills. But what's the difference between these two people? I'll go through it. It tells me a few things about person B. Person B is likely more trusted by their network, more than person A. This may be because they've been more visible, they've been more consistent, or they're just more well-known. Someone like Tony Robbins doesn't have to post consistently. He could host an audio event tomorrow and there'll be tens of thousands of people in the audience. Person B is more trusted than person A. 9 out of 10 times it's because they post content consistently that is quality and they post video. Percent of people who show up from those that accept the invite. So this is huge. Now let's take a scenario where person A and person B, they both have 300 people registered for their audio events. Person A shows up to the audio event, only 50 people are in the audience. Person B shows up and has 100 people show up live, which would be close to that 33% show up rate, which is good. What makes that difference? Pre-marketing of the audio event. You can't just post your audio event once and expect people to have their life revolve around you and remember that it's happening. and not get any other notification other than like 3 hours before the event. So it tells me that person B is probably better at reminding their network that they exist between now and the audio event. It also shows me that maybe person B, that they've maybe chosen a better topic, and that people are more interested in listening to what they have to say. Third potential kink is the percent of people that stay. Okay, so if 100 people are in the audience when you start the audio event, the rule of thumb with our clients is that there should be the same number of people at the end or more. We have clients that have more people at the end of their 45-minute to 1 hour audio event than there were at the beginning. You have to ask yourself, is your content useful? Do you sound like you want to be there? Or do you sound miserable? I go into some audio events, it sounds like they have pulled their teeth to be there. It sounds like they have a grudge against their audience. They're like, it sounds like they just want to get it over with. The percent of people that take action. Person A has 100 people live and gets 1 consultation. Person B has 100 people live and gets 10 consultations. That tells me a few things. Person B may be more comfortable with selling their offer. It could also tell me that they have more clients, that they have a stronger belief in the results that they could get their clients. It may also tell me that person B may have an offer that their audience has more interested in. Person B proved their experience at a higher level through their content, so they maybe had a better delivery. Person B may have pitched the offer more and with more clarity. I see a lot of people that host audio events, and then at the final minute, when everyone's leaving, they're like, oh, by the way, I have a book a consultation with me. Okay, bye. You have to confidently weave your offer into your live audio event multiple times because people are coming in and out.
If you don't believe in what you're doing, then don't expect that anyone else believes in it. And I see that often, unfortunately. And those are the people who are after fast money. And that's not what people who work with anyways, but that's an important one.
This is the 5th mistake. Don't prepare enough in advance. Your audio event started 3 weeks ago. That's a little saying that I have. So it's important to be prepared, send your invites in advance, remain top of mind by sharing quality content consistently that attracts people like your top 20% clientele. Share high quality short form video. It will, like we've said several times already, affect the acceptance rate, the show up rate, the conversion rate connected to your live audio events. You also have to have time to market the room. So again, sending invites, sharing to your feed, having others invite, and marketing to your email list. And you just have to prepare and practice. I think that just having that respect for other people's time and making it quality and delivering and having someone feel like, wow, this changed my life for the better, and I want to come back. Community is priceless, especially in the age of AI. And this is one way where you could build your community. Number 5 is no quality delivery because of lack of preparation and because there's no strategy and because people feel like they could just hang out and have an audience. So you have to prepare to win. The reason my clients win, our clients win, is because we prepare and we make them practice. You could call me the LinkedIn audio drill sergeant. Okay. We drill them and we give them feedback. So when they start their audio event, it's not the first time that they've gone through this content. It's not the first time that they've been told what their blind spots are in the presentation, in their delivery, in their energy. You don't know what to improve if you don't even know how you can get better and if you don't practice. Your ultimate differentiator is your ability to curate an experience, because those two people could deliver the content at different paces, stress different points, make jokes at different places or not at all, and just curate a completely different vibe with the same content. Show up excited to serve, show up with enthusiasm, or don't show up at all. If you sound like your audience is a nuisance to you or you don't want to be there, save them their time and don't do the event. Number 6, collaborate too soon and too often. Again, this depends on where you currently are in your business. Collaboration is not always a good thing. There is over collaboration. There is a place where collaboration becomes a crutch and where collaboration causes confusion. as to what your expertise is. And it disallows people to associate you with one specific expertise, and it really tarnishes your brand in the long run, because I still don't know who you are or what you do because you're always on stage with 25 different people. If you already have high brand awareness, go ahead, interview who you want. Again, be careful, because everyone that you have on your interview or on your stage is a sort of indirect endorsement. High business level is you could do a lot of collaboration because your goal is long term. Your goal is to just gain visibility, and you don't need a client this week or tomorrow or in 8 weeks, right? So when you collaborate, what happens is that the spotlight is usually on the other person or the other people. So someone with a high business level is usually doing something like interviews or collaborative panels, because they know that on the back end, those relationships are going to be built, fostered, nurtured, and lead to partnerships. They're positioning themselves as a thought leader by directly associating with a lot of these other big players. And if you have low brand awareness, or you're in a place in your business where you're still focused on getting clients and growing, I really recommend that you stand on your own for at least the first 6 to 8 audio events, and that you don't collaborate more than 25% after the fact. Number 7, no repurpose strategy. Start valuing your time more. Start having the mindset that when you do something once, you're going to be able to leverage it. Become a strategist that think in terms of leverage. You become someone who goes into an audio event and says, okay, if LinkedIn doesn't allow me to store the recordings, how do I do this? And what could I do with this recording after the fact? As Naval Ravikant, who is a great thinker of our time, says, if you can't code, write books and blogs, record videos and podcasts, because it's media leverage. These are assets that, number one, can increase the value of your business and can work for you while you sleep. LinkedIn does not store the recording, and it will also be the first question that people ask. People that couldn't make it will be like, hey, where's the recording? People that did make it will be like, is there a place where you have other events where you store the recordings? One audio event can turn into a potential video asset that can work for you while you sleep if you know how to record it while you do the audio event. 10 to 15 short form videos that could reach tens of thousands of people, an audio file that could be converted into a podcast, or where the audio file is transcribed into an ebook, social media posts, private newsletter, emails, LinkedIn newsletters, etc., etc., etc. And then number 8, repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again, because they don't realize the cost of time. I want to share a story because this is something that I personally went through. When I went to launch my podcast, I knew that I had no idea what I was doing. So this really comes with self-awareness. You're either, number one, you know that this is daunting, you know that you need support, even if it's just having us in the room. And, we've had to put out some fires, some people were on mute. You have all of that support when you're running your LinkedIn audio events with us. But when I went to launch my podcast, I at least had the self-awareness. Shanae's never done a podcast. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. I knew that I could potentially figure it out by myself, but it's not my zone of genius. It would have taken probably weeks or months, and I had a higher risk of failure. And knowing myself, if I were to launch a podcast and completely bomb it and fail, and it's not even the main thing that I'm focusing on at the time, I would have a higher risk of giving up after being disappointed from that failure. That cost was too high for me to consider. So I went with the second option. I thought to myself, who knows and who has a top 100 podcast that also teaches this to other people that I could leverage? And so I knew 2 people. I scheduled a consultation with both of them, and I ended up paying one. What happened was he gave me the playbook, he gave me one-on-one coaching. Within 3 days of launching the Growthpreneurs podcast, we ranked top 100 Apple Podcasts in marketing and in business, specifically number 42 out of 100. I saved my time, I saved having to pull my hair out, and I saved a lot of cost in terms of feeling disappointed and feeling like a failure should it have bombed. So a lot of the times, people that have an expertise that could save you weeks or months or tens of thousands of dollars in cost, but you have to reach out to them. And because I knew exactly what to do, I got the results that I wanted. If you want to get results faster with your audio events, if you understand the cost of repeating mistakes is too high for you and you value your time, then personal message me or Shankar on LinkedIn and we'll schedule a consultation with you. And to start marketing yourself. So let's say you're not in a place where you can start the audio events based on what you learned today because you aren't yet consistent on LinkedIn, especially on video. If you want to start to learn how to market yourself on video authentically and consistently on LinkedIn to grow your business, then join the free live 4-day LinkedIn challenge. And to do that, you just go to ugrow.club, www.ugrow.club.